he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny, which nobody can deny, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny.
I'm here aboard the Mary T in Deal, Maryland at Shipwright Marina. Below, the crew is getting everything shipshape for the big sailing adventure. Kenny is working on the radio and Amy is sorting out the library. They'll be sailing north to Nova Scotia and then south to the Caribbean. It's going to be the adventure of the year. And stay with me because I'll be covering this trip from beginning to end. But right now they're celebrating with their friends to whom they're saying goodbye for a very long time. How do you feel about the couple's upcoming voyage?
Well, it'll be fraught with danger, no doubt. The vessel seems to be quite fit, but the crew, they've been known to be a little deviant, you know.
I don't know both of them. I always crash parties in my neighborhoods. It's always a social thing here. No, I don't know them. Who are they?
This here's the captain, and I'm the first mate of the Mary T, and we're a pirate ship that's going to be taking off here from Deal. In about a week's time, we're going to be sailing north, plundering and capturing, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to head south to the Caribbean after hurricane season, of course. I find that my pirate accent goes from New York Mafia to British. It all depends on my pirate mood. Arrgh.
All you have to do is remember the 3 rules of seamanship, and you'll be just fine. The first rule is keep the water on the outside. The second rule is keep the people on the inside. And the third rule is keep the boat off the land.
To the crew of the Mary T, may ye head onward and have not a blade of hurt or despair with ye.
We have holy water from Jordan River that's got all sorts of creatures growing in it, but we don't care. They're holy creatures. And we're going to sprinkle this in various parts of the boat to get the blessings of the various gods that relate to the Jordan River. We'll do our Neptune and Poseidon blessings later on the day. So we're going to cover all bases, including Buddha and Haile Selassie. Dominus vobiscum et cum spiritu tuo, in patre in filium in spiritum sanctum. Bless this vessel for wherever she goes.
And finally today we're leaving. The boat will move. It's the first day of our grand voyage of a year, and it's a relief to be over all those humps, isn't it?
Yes.
One of the challenging parts about getting ready is, you have a lifetime's worth of objects that, you have to decide what to take, what not to take. I just come across things and I'm always trying to either throw it away or take it for storage, and Kenny wants to hold on to it. So that's a little bit of the tension that's been going on here, but we usually laugh it off rather quickly.
But as long as we have our pirate costumes, that's all that counts. That's real important.
Arrgh!
What remains to be done before you depart?
We're ready to go. We just need to top off the water tanks, throw out the trash, take a dump over at the...
She meant in the big picture, not just this morning, I think.
The big picture?
The life raft has to be gotten.
She's speaking beyond our morning dump. Expectations for the trip. I just really want to feel completely relaxed. That's kind of what I'm going for. And, wisdom, peace, health, and also a good story and adventure and meeting people and seeing new places. And so I'm hoping for a combo sort of adventure ride and enlightenment.
The complete package.
The complete package.
And what about Kenny?
Just something to do.
Now going to toast Neptune and Poseidon and ask that they give us all the good things about traveling on sea that they do, that they're noted for. So let me change the course a little. All right, okay, because Poseidon doesn't take into account autopilots, which, there we go. Hopefully the wind is picking up. Anyway, Poseidon, Neptune, thank you. Something's wrong with the autopilot.
It's probably just a simple setting that we're not aware of. We've tried everything that we know of.
It's a gray day on the C&D Canal, but our spirits are bright. So soon we'll be heading into the Delaware Bay, which is nowhere near as attractive as the Chesapeake Bay. It's kind of barren, there's not a lot of good places to anchor, and so we're just going to get through it as quickly as possible and get on to Cape May, New Jersey, where we'll spend the night. Penny and I are getting along fine. We, bark at each other every now and then, especially when we're anchoring. That seems to be a difficult moment for us, but we always manage. We plan for every Friday to be Pirate Friday, where we'll dress like pirates, and Kenny's not so keen on the pirate idea, but I think, he'll come to embrace it as time goes on.
The Schildegracht split half.
Well, I've got another half hour on my watch and I'm getting kind of bored. I need to go to the bathroom and the Delaware Bay is really bleak. Here we are in Cape May, still trying to make things right, putting a new battery charger together so that when we plug into AC power, our batteries will get charged. Something was wrong. Here's a question for all the electricians out there. Okay, you're only supposed to run the batteries down to half their capacity, or they start losing their capacity to charge fully. What is going on with the other 50% of the battery? Why can't you use it?
Now the official National Weather Service forecast for the inland sections of southeastern New Jersey. Chance of rain 30%. Saturday night, partly cloudy. West winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Chance of rain 30%.
Well, I'm a little concerned about the budget because we're only a week into our voyage and we're already have spent more than a month's budget. So we're really going to have to tighten the purse strings.
It's day 12 of Kenny and Amy's great sailing adventure aboard the Mary T. They're anchored in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. They could have driven here in 3 to 4 hours, but that's not what sailing is all about. And though they've spent much of their time replacing and repairing parts of the boat, the intrepid crew has not lost sight of their goal to arrive in Nova Scotia before the end of the summer. So tell me, Kenny, how's the trip going so far?
It's going slowly. We've had a lot of little nagging problems, but we're here in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, and it's just lovely here. So we're taking it one day at a time.
You heard it, folks. Taking it one day at a time. Words of wisdom for sailors.
Didn't you get the memo? It's Pirate Friday, arg! You're gonna be putting on your pirate wear later, are ya? I'm steering easy peasy. 7 knots. 7 knots and plenty of spray. The anchor is up and the jack lines are down. There's no grog today 'cause we're underway. And it's Pirate Friday, it's Pirate Friday aboard the Mary T. Oh, I love that song. I wrote it myself. Ah.
Great song it is.
There is one dark cloud in the sky. It happens to be right over us. Go figure. The water is so deep here, the alarm keeps going off, like we care how deep it is, you know? I mean, if it was shallow, yeah. I don't know why we got the alarm set for deep water.
Because that's the way it is.
Right. I am getting some goose pimples in all this wind. I think I'm gonna have to put on some more clothes. You go ahead. I'll be fine, don't worry about me. I'll just steer out here in the cold all by myself. You go get warm. I'll be fine, don't worry.
Like shearing a sheep?
Hmm?
It's like shearing a sheep?
Sheep shearing, yeah. Reminds me of me days, yeah, in Kent County in southeast England when I used to shear the sheep, exactly. Of the great sailing adventure. The Mary T and her intrepid crew have arrived in the great salt pond of Block Island, Rhode Island. In the cozy harbour of Block Island, the boater is king. There's a launch service that picks you up and takes you ashore. A free pump-out service should you wish to discharge the doo-doo accumulating in your holding tank. Why, there's even a muffin man who makes morning rounds with fresh baked goods in his skiff for sailors looking for a quick brekkie. Kenny bought Amy some muffins this morning because it's her 44th birthday. Rumour has it, to help celebrate, Amy's sister and brother-in-law will be joining them aboard the Mary T. Happy birthday, Amy. Susie Chatham, Sailing News, Block Island.
Why, the muffin man, he just came by in his boat, and he had a whole smorgasbord there. We've got a chocolate croissant, a raspberry cheese. Can you get a good view? A plain, and of course the requisite cinnamon bun. Everything is like a puzzle on a boat. You should see this. You take this out, and there's more puzzles below. But chocolate.
Arr, let's get up to the topmast, man. Get the wind going, and we go to Nova Scotia.
I've had a wardrobe dysfunction there. The eye patch just broke.
Malfunction, not dysfunction.
Are you having a wardrobe malfunction too there?
Yes,
Is your tri-corner not working out for you the way you like it?
it's fine now, thank you.
Oh, let's sing the pirate song.
Okay.
The anchor is up and the jacklines are down. There's no grog today 'cause we're underway. And it's Pirate Friday, it's Pirate Friday aboard the Mary T. Arg!
Arg. Arg.
So where are we headed, Captain?
We're headed for Cuttyhunk Island. We're 5 hours and 58 minutes away. Unless we go faster, it'll be less time. And we're doing 5.1 knots.
I'm really enjoying living aboard. Coming back at the end of a day when you've gone to do some visiting, it's always nice to come back to the boat and sit in your floating living room and having the ocean view and the water for your floor and the sky for your ceiling. It's just the best feeling. What are your latest thoughts about the trip?
Well, the trip is what it is. It's a little of everything, but it seems to be a lot of wind encountered in a month, more than I thought we would have encountered in a whole summer. And the salt, it was pretty sticky everywhere. Amy says embrace the salt. Best part about living aboard is the meals that Amy cooks. Even the simplest things taste delicious.
We've had a lovely time in Martha's Vineyard. And we are leaving today to go and anchor outside the Cape Cod Canal. And then tomorrow we'll get up at the crack of dawn, go through the canal, and end up in Cape Cod Bay. Gloucester is America's oldest fishing port. Over 8,000 Gloucester fishermen have vanished at sea since the founding of Massachusetts in 1623. Gloucester or Gloucester?
Gloucester. Gloucester. That's enough, thank you.
Today we round Cape Ann. Tomorrow we round Cape Horn.
This side is New Hampshire. This is a naval installation. And over here is Maine. These lobster pots are ubiquitous, and you have to really watch out for them. We pillage and plunder, we're afraid of thunder. If there's a storm in the bay, we'll run away. And it's Pirate Friday, it's Pirate Friday,
aboard the Mary T. So as I says, it's Pirate Friday, and some of us is respecting the tradition, and some of us ain't. I won't mention any names. But rumor has it there'll be a keel hauling for those who don't respect the Pirate Fridays. And there's not many who've survived a keel hauling. So the sailing in Maine's all right. You just gotta watch out for the lobster pots and the fog. We snagged a lobster pot the other day. My pirate crew member here, he went down and got it off. So we may take that in consideration when we're talking about keel hauling him. These lobstermen, they got a hell of a lobby. We just stick those pots anywhere they damn well please. And they ain't afraid of pirates. But they're working stiff, so we don't bother them none. All right, I think it's time for a change in watch. Pirate.
Hi.
You don't deserve the term anymore.
Sorry.
You got a silly looking life jacket on too.
Thank you.
You're an insult to the profession. They'll hear about it at the next Pirate Association meeting, you can be sure of that.
Cruising in Maine, you have rocks all over the place. Most of them are well marked, but they give you many reasons to pause and be concerned. There's the fog, but probably the worst thing are the buoys for the lobster traps, which are thrown everywhere, somewhat indiscriminately, channel or no channel. There doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason for depth, that they're only in deep water or shallow water, they're everywhere. The payoff is the beautiful scenery, the cool weather, the wooded shoreline, the rocky coast, the wooden boats that are just to die for. Sometimes when it's foggy, that adds a nice dimension to it. It's, you know, the light mist, it's very pretty. And it's, of course, when the sun comes out, it's much more pretty. The sunny, bright blue sky and all the pretty things about Maine that you see in postcards. And it's a nice place to be.
My grandfather and I used to go down to the docks in Booth Bay every morning that he could spare, and we stood on the docks and watched the lobster fishermen go out to work, and I suppose that's where the dream was planted in me. It's hard work, but it's, when you earn $1, you know you've earned it. And that feels good.
So what were you doing before you were lobstering?
I was a surgeon, but I'd always wanted to be a lobsterman, so I reached a point where insurance companies pretty much stopped paying for what I was doing because I was so subspecialized. I did facial reconstructive surgery on genetically deformed children. Insurance companies around 1993 basically said if the kids want this, then the family has to pay for it. So I decided it's time to do something I've always wanted to do. And I moved up the food chain to lobstering. I go through a barrel of bait a day and probably 20 gallons of fuel a day, so about $200 a day to run the boat. That's if nothing breaks. And I'm a very small operation. This is herring. We buy it off the herring supplier who gets it from the herring boat. Lobster is a celebratory food and people eat it when they feel good. And after 9/11, we lost a lot of money and we're losing a lot of money now. So we're just trying to hang on to our boats and our jobs in hopes that it will come back. lobster comes into the kitchen like this, goes for the food, and then theoretically gets chased farther and farther down into the trap. We have to measure every lobster, and they have to be 3 1/4 inches from the eye socket to the end of the back shell, the carapace. If they're not, they're short, and they go back. If they measure legal, then we check to make sure that's a male because of the hard proboscis there.
Okay, show me how we know it's a female.
It's a female because these are soft. These first 2 flippers are soft. On a male, they're hard. And she has been notched in that flipper right there. You can see that notch. That means she's been caught with eggs. And even though she's legal length, you cannot keep her.
Are those lobster gloves that you have?
Exactly. These will be for breakfast, I guess, or lunch tomorrow or something. If I can manage to get them open. Lobster. I appreciate them and everything, but it's more work than I was expecting to do tonight. And I don't have the right tools.
Rockland, Maine, we came upon the Friendship Sloop Society's annual regatta. The Commodore invited me to come aboard his boat for the race.
This is the 47th year that we've had Friendship Sloop Days. These were lobster boats. Friendship Sloops evolved from what was known as the Muscongas Bay Sloop, which was more suited for lobstering inshore. And as the lobstermen found they had to go further offshore, they wanted a boat that it was faster, that was, I think, a more capable of handling itself in heavier sea. So it began to be built, I think, in about 1880. And for the next 35 years or so, they built them for lobster fishermen. This boat you're in today, although originally built in 1913, was rebuilt in '67. Okay, ready about... Release the sheet, release this state.
Whoa, whoa, you all right?
Shoelace.
I love the energy, the old energy in the wood of these boats, and they're comfortable and functional, and they're stable, they're solid, the full keel, and they work well, they sail great. And I love the old lines and lack of winches and all the fancy stuff that's on modern yachts. It's just great.
Release the staysail sheet, quick!
We did.
Pull the jib around. Don't worry about that. Let this. You want to get this out. You want to get this out. There you go.
Friendship sloops are beautiful because they're curvaceous, and they're old and authentic, and they look like they're from a time gone by.
Crossing from Maine to Nova Scotia was really nice. It was a clear night. We were really lucky with the weather. We had the wind behind us or off our beam. So we really couldn't have had it any better. The fog in Nova Scotia is really something to contend with. They say in July and August, 2/3 of the time it's pretty dense fog. So, you know, it's something we'll have to get used to, but it still scares us a little bit when we're in unfamiliar waters. You have to steer completely by GPS and radar because you can't see anything.
You could call maybe 116 and call the Coast Guard, Clark's Harbour, and ask them what the visibility is.
Is that okay to do, to just call the Coast Guard?
That's what I do. That's what it's here for. I mean, it's for information, so or assistance. And that's what it is. Assistance. You're calling for.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Telling you're a sailboat that you just want to know what the visibility is off of Cape Island. It might be clear down there. I mean, because you're going further east.
Yeah. Well, that's a good.
That'd be one of your best bets to call that before you even leave it. Just call down and
Clark's
ask
Harbour.
them. Call the Coast Guard, Clark's Harbour on 16. Mike, that's how we get to our boats every morning in these. We don't have no walkers much. So. Anyway, you have a good trip. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of fog here if you like fog. Well, I think I just about caught enough, I think.
Calling any vessel off Cape Sable or Clark's Harbour. This is the sailing vessel Mary T. Do you read me? Or is Cape Sable Island or just Cape
Sable?
Just off of
Cape Sable.
Mary T. Coast Guard Station, Clark's Harbour. Coast Guard Station, Clark's Harbour. 16, over.
Hi, thanks for getting back to me. Can you give us a visibility reading? We're in Abbott's Harbour heading for Shelburne, and we're wondering what the visibility is like out there. Over.
I'm a land station here in West Head, but visibility right in West Head here is pretty nice, zero in fog.
Thank God for Captain Morgan. Here, would you like a glass? Alright, and one for me. Cheers to Nova Scotia and the friendly fishermen. We're a little bit of a local curiosity. There's not a lot of sailboats here. It's all fishing boats. We're the only pleasure craft in this harbor. So yesterday a bunch of people just kind of came down to look at us.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. It sure is foggy here. Here.
Nice. Where is here?
Here is Abbott's Harbour, West Pubnico.
The fog-bound crew languishes for its fourth day, moored to a barge in the Acadian fishing village of West Pubnico. They have a new friend here, a lobsterman named Owen. He comes to visit several times a day, and like everyone in town, seems to know about Amy and Kenny's every move. In a nearby town called Shag Harbour, a UFO landed in 1967. There's a museum devoted to the event, where you can watch a documentary about those who witnessed the strange orange glowing lights in the sky. The UFO Society still meets once a month, 40 years later, to discuss the details of that momentous occurrence. Beat staying home staring at the woodpile. In West Pubnico, the biggest news, apart from the arrival of the Mary T, is a local musician named Dwight Dion. Dwight has made it to the top 8 of Canadian Idol. Everyone in town is voting for Dwight so that he may become number 1. If that happens, Dwight will no longer have to rely on lobster fishing to reel in Canadian dollars. Good luck, Dwight. Susie Chatham, Sailing News, West Pubnico, Nova Scotia.
So what about the future of lobstering?
We're hoping it's good for another 30 years. After 30 years, I won't care. And now they're trying to protect the coral on the Grand Banks. But the oil companies are hoping that the fisheries goes so they can go down the Grand Banks and drill for oil. That's what their hope is. That's what their big thing is.
Nova Scotians say that Cape Sable Island is where the fog is made.
Pirate Friday aboard the Mary T, and we're hosting a pirate cocktail. We're excited about having our Canadian friends over. We're gonna do some drinking and gambling and carrying on as pirates do.
Oh!
Trivia question. You've heard the saying, freeze the balls off a brass monkey?
Oh, yes. Freeze the balls. Yes.
Anybody know what it means?
No.
Okay, go.
A brass monkey was a mold that they would put the cannonballs in, and it was a way to stack them in a pyramid shape. And I guess if it froze, the brass would contract, and thus the balls would...
Time up.
That's very good. That's
So they'd have to come up and take all those balls up, because if not, these big iron balls would be rolling all over the decks. Right. They would take out chunks of, like they were so big, they would take out the side of the thing. So yeah. So anyway, they had to. So this guy's job was every day in the cold weather and once he decided it was too cold, it was going to freeze, it was going to contract too much, they would have to come and take all those balls down.
A letter of marking from the king to the scummiest vessel I've ever seen.
God damn them all.
I was told we'd cruise to sail for American gold. We'd fire no guns, shed no tears. But I'm a broken man on the Halifax pier, the last of Barrett's privateers.
There isn't much to the town of Port Mattoon, but the beach is gorgeous.
We've met so many people on this trip. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
We're not the most outgoing social people either. It's like
Yeah.
We just kind of just happens right naturally.
Which is nice, which is fun.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
more, you're together for a couple of days, then you go your way a couple of days, then you
Yeah,
it's
you
fun.
reconnect, and it's kind of interesting.
That's what's fun, huh?
Yeah.
Lunenburg is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was settled in 1753 by Germans, Swiss and French Protestants in the name of the British Crown. In the 19th century, it was a huge shipbuilding and fishing port. Today, Lunenburg's biggest industry is tourism. Lunenburg's schooner Bluenose 2 is a recreation of the original Bluenose, which fished for cod off the Grand Banks, south of Newfoundland.
One of the most beautiful spots in Nova Scotia is Mahone Bay. The wind is really good, but the water's flat, so it's ideal for sailing. And there's all these beautiful little islands. We feel very spoiled. And sometimes I wonder what the point of it all is besides having fun and spoiling myself. And maybe that's all right, but I do have a mission of making the world a better place, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing to make that happen at the moment.
Lick out the buntlins, pull up the cloolins, get the topping lift up, raise the main, see if we can find ourselves some booty.
It's Pirate Friday, it's Pirate Friday, aboard the Mary T. Arg! That's right, it's Pirate Friday in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and the crew of the Mary T is enjoying all this city has to offer. This week is special because the Buskers Festival is in full swing. Mimes, clowns, magicians, jugglers and acrobats fill the streets with their colourful acts. Now, what is Amy up to today?
Amy's out busking today. She's taking advantage of the fact that there's a festival in town, and this is one sword, but she has the other sword, and she's out there swallowing it for good money today, and all week she's been doing that.
Amy, a woman of so many talents, it just amazes me. So does that mean that you're all free for the day?
No.
Halifax marks the end of the northern leg of Amy and Kenny's great sailing adventure. Tomorrow they head south, retracing their steps back to the Chesapeake Bay. Then it's on to the Caribbean. Don't forget your bikini. Susie Chatham, Sailing News, Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's that time of year when the snowbirds fly south in their annual migration. Amy and Kenny are no exception to the rule. They've joined the flock of vessels winding their way south down the Intracoastal waterway in search of warmer weather. Sometimes the boating traffic gets so thick, it's a bit like commuting in rush hour traffic.
Well, it's been a very chilly ride on the Intracoastal waterway, also known as the ICW. We left the Chesapeake Bay at the end of October, and we find ourselves traveling in the company of all the Canadians because most of the Americans are already, in Florida by now. So we're the last of the snowbirds, and it's been a chilly ride. There's a whole etiquette that goes along with boating in the ICW. If a faster boat is coming up on you, you're supposed to slow down so that he can pass you slowly without throwing a big wake your way. Beaufort, North Carolina was one of our favorite little towns.
Ready for the gas tank?
People always want to know what you eat on a boat. Tonight we're going to have some pork chops, and we're going to do that in a rosemary, mint, garlic tapenade, would it be, or a masherama?
All right, now what we've got here is really just a lovely bit of garlic. It's very fresh. I got it at the supermarket just the other day. Oh, I think I need a sip of wine. Oh, it's a lovely boxed wine. It didn't used to be you could get a nice boxed wine, but now you can. They have lots of lovely boxed wines, and I highly recommend them. They're very affordable, and it's perfect for a galley. All right, back to the garlic. So the garlic has two purposes here. One is for the dipping sauce for the bread, and the other is for the lamb chops themselves. It will go on as a paste. I'm creating a paste of garlic, mint and rosemary. That will go directly onto the lamb chops. We need to put in some olive oil. There we go, that's our dipping sauce for the lovely bread we have. So we'll chop up some mint with the rosemary. I'm afraid something's gone desperately raw. I think perhaps the mint's not looking too well, but I did find some green leaves out of it. We'll throw the black ones away. And we'll chop this up with the rosemary. I would like to have a bit more, normally, a bit more mint. Mint and rosemary, what could be more beautiful than that? Any lamb would be happy to see it, I'm sure. Alright, excellent. And a little bit of salt. Oh dear, I didn't need to put that much salt in. I had the wrong opening. Dear me. Well, We'll hope for the best. Might be a bit savoury, a bit more savoury than one intended, but, you know, never know, might be nice that way. And I'll just stir that around. Yes, very nice. Looking like a fresh salad to complement the meal. Right now, I think the moment of truth is here, and I just want to apologise if my Julia Child's impersonation has come off more as a Monty Python male doing a female. I apologise. Sometimes I cross-channel those two things, and I can't get it right. But anyway, but the lamb will be delicious. That's the bottom line. All right, here we go. Oh, it's sizzling away, it is. Oh, yes, that looks lovely. I hope I haven't cooked it too fairly well. I got rather busy with the salad and whatnot, but I think it should be very nice, yeah.
Where are your ears?
Today, Mary T and her crew are headed for Charleston, South Carolina, where they'll spend Thanksgiving. They intend to be in the Bahamas by Christmas. Just 700 miles to go. Susie Chatham, Sailing News, South Carolina. It's a very tricky bit of the Intracoastal waterway here, but Captain Kenny is doing fabulously. The depths are running into the 6 feet area, which is very scary when you're in a boat that draws 5 feet. So it's been very tense this morning. There's a bridge up ahead, so I shall call for an opening. Ben Sawyer Bridge Tender, Ben Sawyer Bridge Tender. This is the sailing vessel, Mary T, southbound. Come back, please.
This is Ben Sawyer.
Hello, we're two sailing vessels just passing the green 121. Will you be able to open for us?
I see no problem with that, Captain. Come on.
Thank you so much. Where is Amy this morning?
Amy went turkey hunting. She took the day off the boat, and she's out in the woods shooting a wild turkey for Thanksgiving dinner.
She never ceases to amaze. So she'll be meeting up with you then in Charleston with a turkey, we hope.
Correct. It'll be a turkey that she'll have butchered and prepared to cook on board in our small alcohol stove.
Well, cruising the Intracoastal is definitely a whole different kind of boating. There's a lot to see, lots of different views, but the depths can be very challenging and very tiresome.
Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Fabulous today.
Hey, you sure have grown up since last year. You were a tiny little babe. Now you're a big girl.
A big boy.
Oh, that's a boy?
What vessel do you come from then?
Oh, well, technically speaking, I'm a very famous pirate that I'm not going to say the name of because that would be copyright infringement. But you get the idea.
Right. Yeah, copyright infringement. Very complicated.
What brings you all to the pirate's house?
We're pirates.
Oh, well, obviously.
We're on pirate vessels. Yeah.
Oh,
We just stopped here briefly.
Oh, you just stopped me. Well, if you're going to be staying for any amount of time, I suggest you try our artillery punch that we have. Most famous drink that we have in Savannah. It's got strong tea, orange juice, lemon juice, Benedictine, rum, gin, brandy, raw whiskey, Catawba wine, brown sugar, cherries. I think that's it. But you have one, you'll be feeling good. You have two, you'll be feeling very good. You have three, you won't be feeling. Trust me, I speak from experience.
Now, you've got an aerobic wine tasting coming up, and you didn't know you were going to work so hard for so little. Now, here's how it works. The first sip is called mouthwash time, kitty cats. Now, the first sip is meant to be vigorously swished around in your mouth, okay? The next sip, come back and lay a little bit of the wine in your mouth. Let it rest. Don't just swallow it down.
You know what? Just chugging the first 2 glasses of wine does the same thing. Then the third one always tastes good.
Her name is Finito, and it means done, finished, everything in Italian.
Oh, okay.
And I got officially divorced today, so it's done, finished, finito.
I think this marina is hard on its luck, down on its heels, but it's for sale, so if you want to buy it, charge admission for every space shuttle launch. You get your money back real soon.
Was this your first shuttle launch?
It wasn't a shuttle.
Yeah, first space launch of any kind in person?
Yes.
What do you think?
Now I know what it looks like.
What do you guys think, huh? Was it worth the price of admission?
Absolutely. After a two-week wait,
Come look at this. And this is what you can do tomorrow.
Oh,
it's 120 digital zoom.
Show her the manatees.
Christmas in the Bahamas. That's what Kenny and Amy dreamed of. But life at sea is never predictable. The weather window needed to cross the Gulf Stream from Florida did not open in time. So the couple celebrated the birth of Jesus in a tiki hut at Nettles Island Marina near Stuart, Florida. Kenny and Amy's spirits soared after Christmas when the requisite weather window opened and a southerly breeze blew up the Straits of Florida, allowing for a safe passage to the Bahamas. The Mary T sailed south down the Atlantic coast, headed for Palm Beach. All was going well until they approached the anchorage in Palm Beach. Kenny sensed a problem with the transmission. Now the couple find themselves marooned at a marina trying to solve their mechanical problems. Looks like New Year's at another tiki hut in Florida. Happy New Year!
looking forward to the crossing with great anticipation?
Absolutely.
Yes, finally!
We thought we should assemble the masses before this momentous
Absolutely,
occasion.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. So we're leaving at 4:30 tomorrow, huh? 4:30 in the morning.
Well, we'll talk for a while and see.
Cheers, gang. Cheers
to a great crossing.
Here's to a fine flotilla. A fine pirate flotilla for a crossing. Arr, yes.
There were 22 boats crossing the Gulf Stream the day we did it, and all heading for the Bahamas. When you cross the Gulf Stream and you first arrive on the banks, it's like you've just sailed into a swimming pool. You go from deep blue waters that are thousands of feet deep into like 20 feet of water, and it's quite shocking and amazingly beautiful. Our first landfall in the Bahamas was Great Harbor Key in the Berry Islands, and we spent about 4 days there before moving on. The most amazing thing about the Bahamas is the color of the water. It goes from swimming pool blue to emerald green to black patches where there's coral heads to deep blue in the deeper waters when you leave the banks and you're on the outside of the islands.
Arr!
Arg!
All right. Well, I think it's time for a little pirate song. Buried treasure, Bahama blue. Where's the gold? We haven't a clue. And it's Pirate Friday, it's Pirate Friday aboard the Mary T.
Welcome to Chug Key Club. This big front will come through and nobody in their right mind is going to want to be out on the water when that comes through. So we are afraid we're stuck here at these high prices probably till Wednesday. So our budget's going to be broken and we're looking for donations.
If I were going to tell people something about sailing in the Bahamas, I would say be prepared for the weather. Cold fronts come through just on a very regular basis, and it's not really that cold, but it's strong northerly winds accompanied by squalls and rain, and you really want to find yourself in a protected anchorage when these fronts come through. And then when you have a day or two of weather that's reasonable, you dash to the next island and hope that there, when the next front comes through, that you can find an anchorage that'll be protected from the right direction.
A line squall, the thing that rakes terror into the minds of any seaman. These raging winds will come and drive you mad.
The Bahamas are made up of several island chains, and one very popular cruising ground is the Exumas. Everybody, it seems, heads for the Exumas. The topography is quite rugged. It's sort of like what I imagine the moon to be like. It's very jagged and holy rock. So it's very difficult for things to grow. It's a very delicate ecosystem there.
Only there.
Well, one of the neatest things we saw in the Exumas was the Wardrick Wells Land and Sea Park. It's a protected area, so you can't kill or take anything, and it's just very clean, and the waters are beautiful, and the snorkeling is quite good there because you're not allowed to kill any of the fish.
This rock came from Cape Sable Island in Nova Scotia, and now we're resting it here at
Boo Boo Hill?
Boo Boo Hill. Where are we? Wardwick Wells.
Exuma Park. Draco, that was what the Spanish called Drake, meaning dragon.
There's some neat hiking trails and a blowhole, which is a hole in the earth where the wind comes up from underneath. We did some hikes with our friends Greg and Corrine. Poor Corrine broke her arm in Nassau, fending off another boat when their transmission failed them in the marina there. She was a real trooper though, kept on going.
It was cool to meet the people in the hospital. I think it gave us a real sense of Bahamian culture in having an accident, because you sort of have to deal with things that you wouldn't deal with perhaps on just a holiday. Something I've learned from many of the Bahamians that we've dealt with, they have time to just stop and visit and inquire about you. And getting the cast off was somewhat of an experience in that it took 4 people, the doctor, the chiropractor, my husband, and someone else who just came into the room, some woman, I think it might have been the chiropractor's girlfriend, and they were all pulling on that cast to get it off my arm, and they succeeded, and that was kind of fun.
We started from Bay City in Michigan on a trip that we weren't sure where it was going or what was going to be about, to somewhere far away with sun and beaches and rum. And 8 months later, we've found most of that.
I haven't had a true Pirate Friday, and I've been waiting since Annapolis for a Pirate Friday. So that's the one thing that I still need to see in the Bahamas.
Tell us about pirating in this century. How is it different from pirating back in the golden age of pirating? Would you say it's more difficult, or is it easier?
More difficult, far more difficult. Do you know how many stores, dollar stores, I had to go to find my pirate clothes? Thank heavens for Halloween, though, because we got them half price. Half price, less than half price. At the dollar store, that's a pretty good deal.
And now the earring, you're wearing that, I see, in your right ear. Now, what does that mean? Does it matter for a pirate which ear you use, or is it 6 of one, half a dozen of the other?
No, I think it's more a comment on the dyslexic photographer, because this would be my other right ear. This one's my right ear, and this one's the other right ear.
Grum punch!
So you put the earring in the left ear, the sword in the right hand, and you look for his left ear.
Buried treasure, Bahamian blue, where's the gold? We haven't a clue. And it's Pirate Friday, aboard the Gourmet.
There's Piggy. Not a bad life for a pig.
Here they go. They know who feeds them.
Poor thing. He's confused it.
Whoa, I thought he was off at the spot. There's the spot over there.
From the Barrows to Nassau and the Exumas, the crew of Mary T has devoured the Bahamian islands. Snorkeling, hiking and biking occupy many hours of the day. On Long Island, they even rented a car for 2 days and visited the entire island. Now they're in Rock Sound, Eleuthera, enjoying a homecoming celebration. Once a year, all the town's natives return home for a festival of singing, dancing, feasting, and a Bahamian tradition called Junkanoo.
A lot of people, as they grow older, they leave the island and move to the city in search of higher education or even a better job. And so homecomings were set up as a way to get them back to the island, to bring them back to their home, their native home. A week of fun, food and laughter and visiting family and friends.
In terms of food, the conch here is king. You can get conch fritters, you can get cracked conch, you can have conch salad. It's easy to catch a conch. I mean, you just go down and pick it up, but then getting it out of the shell and everything you have to do to it after that is not an easy task. So I found a conch once, but I didn't bother to bring it aboard because I just knew I couldn't deal with it. The conch salad is really good though. It's a ceviche, and they just take the raw conch, they cut it in very thin strips, and then they cure it with citrus, with lime and orange and sometimes grapefruit. And then there's onions and green peppers and tomatoes stirred into it. Very nice, and that's probably the healthiest way you can eat conch. Otherwise, it always seems to be fried. A lot of cruisers have a tradition with the conch shell, and when the sun goes down, they blow through the conch.
They call themselves Lucayans. Yeah. And that means island people in their language. The Spaniards came and captured every single one of them from every island in the Bahamas and took them down to work in the mines in Haiti, Dominican Republic. They were also excellent divers, and they took them down to work the pearl farms down just north of the coast of Venezuela. Worked them literally to death. Those that didn't die from the diseases that the Europeans brought died from just overwork and starvation because they were barely feeding them. By 1520, approximately, they were totally extinct as a race. There's not one direct descendant of Lucayan left.
To the Abacos, it's much more developed. The Abacos were settled predominantly by loyalists who, when the American Revolution was going on, they sided with the Crown, and so they were sort of persecuted in America, those who favored England, and a lot of them came to the Bahamas. Some went to Nova Scotia, some went to Jamaica, and some came to the Bahamas. So the Abacos was settled predominantly by loyalists who fled during and after the American Revolution.
5 minutes.
Cool.
What are you preheating?
You gotta make sure it's hot, so when the kerosene passes through it, it'll vaporize.
Now, do you stay here all night?
No, we gotta come up every 2 hours.
You come up every 2 hours? Okay.
How long have you been doing this?
4 years now.
Oh, wow. And who did it before you?
My dad did it for about 36 years.
So, family Theo.
Yeah.
Keeper of the light. The keeper of the light, that's right.
Did the job change a lot between you and what your dad knew?
Not really.
Look at it, oh my God. Talk about winded. Winded. Whoa, baby.
Dad. What causes the lens to turn?
Baits.
Wow, Jeffrey. Wow. There you go.
One thing I've become acutely aware of on this trip in the Bahamas is how much garbage we produce. I mean, every day we have a little bag of garbage, you know, just from, it's food wrappings mostly, and plastic is such an evil, and you see it washed up on the windward side of a lot of these islands. If you throw away garbage on the island, it ends up at the dump, and then the dump isn't very well organized, and when there's a big wind or a hurricane, it just blows out of the dump and back into the water and then washes up on the beach again.
The guy whose nature walk we went on said that you're supposed to throw your food waste overboard, and you're supposed to throw bottles and cans overboard, and you're supposed to burn your plastic and paper trash.
Good fortune continues to shine upon the crew of the Mary T. They've arrived in Green Turtle Key just in time for the Roots Heritage Festival. Colourful acts celebrating Bahamian tradition and history fill the streets with a festive air.
We're more of the flamboyant, kind of in-your-face, people kind of like us and give us their things, pirates. That works much better these days.
I see, so you're just sort of raping and pillaging randomly.
Tell us a little bit about that number 23. What does that mean?
That's a basketball player's numbers. Shaquille O'Neal.
Can you tell me a little bit about the pirate diet? What are pirates eating nowadays?
Well, we ate very well this time. We had a lot of conch and a lot of rice. Usually we're into bilge water and dead rats aboard ship.
This gentleman is Mad King George III.
I'm incognito. I'm out among the people.
He's trying to pretend that he's not Mad King George. He was in his pajamas
I'm not
earlier.
Mad. I'm just really angry.
Slightly perturbed.
People keep calling me mad. If you want to say I'm mad, why don't you just say I'm special or something like that?
Are you going to be performing in some way?
No, ma'am, no, none of that. No.
You're just keeping order?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I understand you've been hitting him with your stick. Is that true?
No, I try not to do any damage with this.
Show. They will be spinning fire, breathing fire. They will be doing fire hula hoops, fire swords. They'll be fighting with fire.
This is much like racing. You go to the race to see the crash. We go to the fire show to see the burning people.
about cruising?
The sex.
Where are you now?
Good answer.
Where have you been getting it?
You know, it just.
Oh, that's you right there?
You know, I mean, you know, like the boat goes
Okay,
to
now wait a
and
minute.
fro, and it just.
Okay, you're on the other
This
side.
may not come back around.
It just
so
makes it so
if it's like the cheese that went the other night at the party we were at.
I know. What has this experience taught you?
Day to day, it doesn't matter because there's no memory of the past. There's only the now. And like a dog, you only know what's going on immediately. No past, no future, just now. That's the beauty of this whole thing.
Where's my life going? Where's it heading? Am I just going to be frittering it away, sailing down to the Bahamas every year? Or am I going to be destined to do great things somewhere?
So sailing allows you to live more in the present than ordinary life, is that what you're saying?
There is no ordinary life. All life is very extraordinary. Sailing just makes you aware of the physicality of life, as no other life can, except mountain climbing, or maybe grave digging.
It's not the traveling so much, it's the living that's been more of an eye-opener, because it's a different way of living. So, also the fact that I could be comfortable on a 35-foot boat. It's, you know, so limiting, basically. It's simple. So when I get home, can you imagine? How many rooms do we have, Lo?
None.
I mean, our bedroom alone is at least, what, 4 or 5 times the size of this boat?
Absolutely.
That's going to be wild. Maybe we should move everything in the house into the bedroom
Maybe.
and just live out of the bedroom.
What we're going to do is
Or move everything in the bedroom out of the bedroom and just move the things from the boat into the bedroom.
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. It'll be hard to get used to water that isn't this clear and this climate that's so pleasant. It's never been too hot. It's never been too cold. It's kind of a Goldilocks place, but it'll be nice to get back and see everybody and friends and family and plan our next adventure.
Now we're back in the Chesapeake Bay. Our great adventure is over today. And it's Pirate Friday, it's Pirate Friday aboard the Mary T. Arrgh!